little technical difficulty, but we are now ready to rock. I wonder if I'm going to be sending anybody some free beers today.
Right, you are really missing your analyst, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, me too, man. Well, I was thinking about this the whole week, so I am very, very excited for this conversation. I can't wait to get started.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys? I'm I'm stoked to be the guest here today. Very happy to be here with you. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, not at all. Here's my beer, so let's talk about bots, automations in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was first time for me. I knew his girlfriend though, Bruna, right? From the MVP. You probably knew her as well. I don't know if you met her last year during the summit, but is her second year as an MVP. So I knew
Oh,
her.
okay.
Introduced me to Vinny as well. So I'm very glad that we now know each other and we are having this conversation.
Great. And I'm glad you covered it down because just like I said I would do, what did I say I would do when I started playing the music and I muted myself? I said I would forget to unmute myself. I forget.
Yeah. Did you forget?
Yeah, I did, of course. So I'm glad you were able to. I looked over and thank goodness, Arthur was saying, "Hey, we can't hear you, Jeremy." And he snapped me up real quick. See, I'm telling you, like when you don't have a teenager managing your technology in the background, us old boomers are gonna leave it hanging. So thank you so much. What would we do without chat? And thank you for joining. So Vinny. Us old timers here, right? We've been talking for 6 episodes now about our reality. And, when we're kind of diving into stuff and you're working in it every day, it's different. And I might have my perceptions of what the market's like or what it's like for new people, but I want to get your thought, right? Let's hear a little bit about your story. I would love to understand what you were into before RPA, and how long you've been doing RPA. So give us a quick background to how you found yourself in this position.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for the kind words. I had a blast with you guys up in Seattle not long ago. I started in RPA as a surprise, to be honest. So I started I started studying IT, and then right from the beginning, I was looking for an internship.
Okay.
And I got the opportunity for the internship, but at first they didn't tell me what specifically I was going to do. They just told me, oh, it's something that is related with development, and I wanted to be a developer at the time so bad. So, and it was the first opportunity that showed up. So, I'm down for it.
You're like, hey, let me get it.
Yeah. And when I got to the job the first day, and then they showed me those screens, those RPA IDEs or those RPA platforms.
Yeah.
And at first I started working with Blue Prism.
Okay, I was going to ask, what tool did you start off with? So it was Blue Prism first?
Yeah, and in my family I have developers.
Okay.
So I've seen how it works. I the black screens and the codes and etc. But then I saw Blue Prism and I was like, man, that has to be some old fashioned software because
it does look old
before. Because it has those.
It's like flows, yeah. If you've seen, for those of you who are not familiar with Blue Prism, it's sort of like, it almost looks like a flow chart, like a process diagram with squares and triangles. And I actually came from the world of Automation Anywhere before Blue Prism. So when I ran into Blue Prism, I was like, it looked way easier. But I will give it to you, though. It looked old. It looked like some Visio or some old software. It didn't look like something I would automate, a bunch of work for AAA for. But yeah. So you found yourself doing RPA as an internship, right?
Yes, and that was in the beginning of 2017. Mm-hmm. And back then, it wasn't an unusual thing to have, at least here in Brazil, which is where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And I would search on the web for RPA, looking for content in Portuguese, and I could barely find anything. And then with time, I got to know what RPA is used for, and I implemented the first project, and I got used to what it is and what it does. But at first, that was my impression. I thought it was something old because I've never seen it before. Yeah.
So did you do on that internship? How long was it? Did you do any actual projects, or were you just on the project team, or what did you build something?
I did. Actually, when I got there, they gave me like this amount of papers. It was the actual documentation of
Blue Prism. Was the PDD or like Blue Prism documentation?
No, not the PDD for the process, because I didn't have any experience. I had studying experience. Yeah. And I messed with some code before. But then they gave me this ton of papers, which was actually the printed Blue Prism documentation. And I went over it.
That's wild.
Page after, page after page. And then at the end of the first one, I got... What was it?
Did you read everything?
Not everything, but I read the amount that was necessary in order to accomplish the first project. Which was part of the documentation itself. But nowadays we have the academy, and it's all online, and then we have this online projects that we have to do something. Then we have to queue up some transactions to the queue itself, and then we get to process stuff. But then I was learning things at the beginning. So
I'm interested, right? Because did you come from a computer science background, Joe, or were you more analyst side or project? So both of you guys, right? So I came in from RPA on the non-computer science side, right? I was actually a process engineer. I was more even the program team that I was on back in the day was sort of forward thinking, and it wasn't just developers and analysts. We had process engineers that would look at it and see if there's a way to redesign it. Right. And so I got my start there, and I didn't have any coding background. So I'm interested from your perspective, and you've kind of touched on a couple of tools now, from a traditional coding, computer science background and understanding what it's like to pick up a coding language, to reading a manual and then being able to, you said, apply it on a project. How easy was it for you to pick up a RPA tool, in your opinion?
The most I had experience with at the time was JavaScript.
Okay.
And while I was doing the simple stuff, I could relate to the things I knew. Okay. So whenever I was assigning a value to a variable, I was like, oh, okay, so I know what it is.
Yeah.
And then I got to drag the loop feature from the ribbon on the side. And then, okay, I know what a loop is. Yep. And then I can assign variables here and on and on. So I could relate to what I was used to. Yeah. And then, but I kept thinking, okay, so that's a lot easier than writing code itself, or at least that's what I used to. When you're doing the simple stuff and you relate to other things, it's easier.
Yeah, when you already know what it even means to be a function, right? What does that even mean, or what does a Boolean mean, or if then statement? Yeah, so that makes sense. I had to kind of learn that. And it's weird not coming from a coding background. If you don't understand the lines of code and those, some of that is very non-intuitive. You're like for each loop or trying to develop for one of the things that we encounter. I've seen this a lot, and I don't know if Joe, if you experienced this, do you ever have processes where you get errors in production for like false positives where you think the bot's finished the job and then the business is like, hey, where's my shit? Do you ever experience that?
Well, not with RPA, to be honest.
Because he's a legend. He's too good.
No, see, here's the point. I told you already. Like,
yeah.
as an RPA developer, most of my automations I did for myself or for teams that were close by, right, on the technology side.
Mm-hmm.
So they were more back-end automations. They were not so front-end automations dealing with business people and so on and so forth. So that's probably why. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to the infrastructure side, to the platform, right? So where I don't create automations anymore. So I am managing the platform, but like as an administrator, but like I don't create automations anymore.
So how do you? That's one thing that I've noticed in this space, right? Is if you're pretty savvy technical and you understand a lot of that conceptually, there's such a need for talent that you quickly find yourself in like a manager's role or where you're not really doing the tech. So so V, from your perspective, how you got into it, and I feel like even back when Joe and I first kind of got in the space, I feel like the changes were slow. It wasn't like UiPath or Blue Prism were changing their software so rapidly and there was new functionality. How has it been since 2017 when you first saw a software to try to maintain your level of proficiency? Is that like something that you feel is easy to do, or is it something that with RPA is more difficult from a computer science background?
That's a good question because, okay, so right when I started college, I started my internship. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much in parallel.
Okay.
So I didn't have that much studying, experience before I joined my internship.
Got it.
In IT. But I definitely feel that compared to it was in the back then. Back then it was easier to follow up the new features that would come up because they were not as frequent as they are nowadays.
Yeah. So bring me to like current day. Do you have a specific tool that you use? Are you still using Blue Prism? You use Power Automate? What's your tool you currently use?
Nowadays, I mostly work with UiPath.
Okay, nice. And how do you feel is it about the same as far as like maintaining your skill set, or what do you focus on today? Are you core RPA, or do you do something like document understanding or communications mining? Where's your current skill? Or do you like core dev?
Mostly core RPA. Inside where I work nowadays, I work for an American private company, which does offer work for the public sector. It's called Tyler Technologies. I'm a contractor there.
Nice.
And they have their own document understanding technology.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yes, and they have multiple products that serve the public sector, and pretty much what I assist them with is to automate their products. Mm-hmm. So they sell their product, and now they're able to sell their product, but not only their product, so their systems, but automate their things.
Joe, I got to get your. Tell me.
Yeah, but so you guys have your own document understanding. So you developed, you created, and you are selling this to other companies, right? So one thing that I am interested in, because I remember during the summit, George was talking about document understanding, and one thing that he said that got stuck in my mind. He was saying that document understanding is becoming like
it's like commoditized. You can't make a
commodity, right? Yeah. So you have to have. But you cannot sell, I have a document understanding, the most blah, blah, blah. No, like you have to have, but you cannot, like, it's just another thing. Like, do you feel that it is like that?
I do feel it. And I do feel the same for RPA. I mean, back then it used to be the main character.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore.
Yep.
It's just, part of the thing. It's I mean, they sell a bundle. You know?
Well,
and RPA document understanding, it's just part of it.
Yeah, but regarding RPA, that's interesting because like I'm quite new to RPA, like just a few years, but I've seen so many different companies or products selling RPA. You have like ServiceNow, you have that CRM tool. How is it called?
Salesforce.
You have
SAP.
Pega, everybody has its own RPA. So I feel that UiPath is in a very tough market, right? They are doing very well, but it's so competitive because everybody has its own RPA, right? So it's tough to sell.
Yeah.
Definitely,
the good thing is obviously UiPath has a massive amount of market share, right? It's clear when you're a $1 billion company that like you've got plenty of customers, but they can't sit around and wait, right? I agree with what George said too, right? It's hard to commoditize something that's people have been trying to do for a decade, right? There's no money, I don't think massive money. But what I will say is that this model that we're speaking of building some sort of application or solution, and then on the back end leveraging automation to do it. And so you're not selling the bots directly to do the work to somebody, but you're selling a solution, but in the back end, it's UiPath doing it. And then maybe it's not DU, maybe it's a language model specific to the medical industry, right? I think that's sort of going to be a gold rush, right? So if you have the ability to look in your local region, right? UiPath is never going to have the best Brazilian medical language model in the industry, right? But if you can use UiPath and then build your own language model in healthcare in Brazil, you're sitting on multi-million-dollar opportunity right now. Until the time's now. Let me hear what you say, Joe. You think I'm crazy or?
You just triggered a thought because you said about Brazilian market and Oracle, right? So Oracle has its own ERP solution, right? So they compete against SAP, and I know that because I used to work for Oracle, and the Brazilian tax approach is quite crazy. Vinny knows that very well. We have so many taxes; it's so complex that Oracle decided to create like a specific version for the Brazilian market, right?
Oh,
so there's like this company that I used to work for them in Brazil, and they were like specialists in the financial module of Oracle.
Yeah,
and they were doing very, very well.
Oh, absolutely, dude. So you triggered a thought in my brain too, right? Because the UiPath has this exact problem. They have the situation you're facing where if I start up a consultancy today and I'm in Florida and I'm doing UiPath or just RPA, and I have a lot of connections in India, so I want to go to India and I say, hey, or Brazil, and I say, hey, Brazil's an untapped market. I want to go set up, an RPA shop in Brazil. I'm forced to try to charge Brazilian clients the same price that I'm charging US clients, or even worse in India. And and if you go to India and you try to charge UiPath license prices in India, executives in India, I'm sure it's the same in Brazil, they will laugh your ass out of the room. They're like, dude, you want to charge me how much for a license? I could get 100 resources to do that for that price. Literally it is cheaper for me just to do it by person. And so that's a very interesting scenario where other countries they can't afford the current price point of a software, and it hurts the company's growth, right? And so I think what you're saying is just, it's even more music to my ears that like small groups of people with today's technology, like Vinny, literally where he's at, he can get this stuff, understand the business model from his organization, and then on the side, get a side gig and try to work with people who build an LLM specific to their region. And I don't care. I don't need to get big in the US. I'm going to get the money in this region. I guarantee you there's massive opportunities for that. It's just about the work. But yeah, I think that what you're saying, both things true, right? The software, you can't use it everywhere. So
yeah, and I was thinking something related to what you guys are saying just before or chat here started, because one of the biggest challenges for RPA to become even greater is its price.
Yeah. Yep. And when we were at the UiPath Summit, we were talking about price. That's a big topic. Yeah,
hold that thought.
Okay.
So when you say price, do you mean license, or do you mean the overall cost, like the
TOC, total cost, TCO?
Yeah, TCO, right? Total cost.
Ownership. Yes.
Ownership, because that's something very, very hard to calculate, right? I know companies have different metrics, but like when I saw some numbers, I got really like shocked how costly it is to have an RPA, one bot, right? Not only the license, to be honest, the license at the end of the day, depending on the deal you have with UiPath or Blue Prism or whatever, the license is going to be the least of your cost.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Because you need an entire environment, in order to use the RPA, and pretty much everything from your environment is paid, right? Because that's how pretty much it is. You usually use a paid database. You usually use a paid operational system. You pay for your own machines.
Yep, everything has a cost.
There are the licenses as well. There are the licenses for the orchestrators, and there are the professionals. So at the end of the road, you're paying a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I feel that the people cost more than the actual hardware, right? Because man, imagine just a meeting with 2 developers, 1 business analyst, a project manager, whatever business people, like just one meeting with 5-10 people, costing
$1,000 a meeting.
$100 per person. Like, let's put $100 per person, 1 hour, like $1,000, right?
Expensive call.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just like just a small thing, right? It's hard to maintain and support, and then you have your infrastructure, you have to patch, you have your like the OS support team, you have the platform support team, you have the automation support team.
Yeah.
You have your developers, you have your managers, you have your AVP, you have your senior AVP. Like, there's so many people, like, and then when you put everything like into the paper, like it gets very crazy.
It does get crazy though, but like as a person who's co-founded a startup and had to sell that value to companies, right? Like the way we were able to lean into this scenario is, and I think I've told you this before, when I have the chance to start flashing my desktop, I'll show it, but we ran 15 automations on the trial license, the community edition, against 4 desktops, right? And I said, guys, look, like I have 15 automations running across 4 desktops. I'm only a business analyst. I wasn't at the time, but I was like, let me show you the CBA. It takes 15 people to do this work, right? So I'm already saving money and you haven't spent a penny except hired me. The reason I had to do that is because the company hired me to run an RPA program and they gave me no funding. I built out the plan, said, hey, I need these resources. Here's my roadmap. Here's my pipeline. And they said, nope, we're not paying for anything. Figure it out. And so I literally just learned UiPath myself, built 15 bots to prove a CBA. And they said, well, if you just do what you're doing, you've already saved the company $500,000. So yeah, well, let's invest. So you can prove the value for that team up front. And then if I'm executing it, I can always call back and say, hey, well, you can say that my employees and the 10 people, it cost $500,000 for my team to run this. But if you take all this work and you go hire the people to do all of it, it's going to cost more than the $500,000, right? And I can show you that on the dashboard. But what I'm more concerned about is something that Vinny said, and you kind of nodded when he said this, Joe. So I'm concerned because this is something I'm talking about in Vegas. Now, Vinny was talking about like, hey, RPA, it's just only one tool. It used to be, it had the main character syndrome and it was the hot topic. So Vinny, based off your perspective, like, do you feel like RPA has a shelf life? Is the end of the road for RPA as we know it coming to an end? With the all of these other people, like Joe was saying, everybody else has RPA. Yeah, and everybody already is building their own RPA tool, and Gen AI is coming. You know, what is somebody who, I believe that the industry is dependent on you, someone like yourself who's bought in, chose this as a career path and is learning it, you know, and if you guys all jump ship and say, hey, I'm on to Gen AI or I'm on to LLMs, you know, whatever, you know, so you think there's a career here still? What are you seeing? What's your opinion?
Well, there's the thing that once you implement an automation, and we're talking about RPA here, you can't just let it be, you know? And code that doesn't grow is a dead code.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that anytime that you have something that doesn't mature right, I don't think that there's an issue with UiPath and like where they're going with the progression of their tool. I think that that's the high spot to me why I don't think RPA is dead, is because the AI, the operational AI, the important part, they're getting it right. They're doing R&D and they're heading that way. So I think that there's still opportunities. So if somebody was coming to you and say, hey, I've been a developer for 4 years now. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I want your advice on what I should. How do I future proof? How do I future proof myself? What are you doing to kind of say, hey, you know, I'm working on RPA, but are you focusing on any sort of channels? How do you future proof yourself? And what would you recommend to people, you know, who are similar to you, trying to make sure that they still have a career in a couple of years?
Okay, yes. So I've been studying AI and data science. I just finished a post-graduation course just a month ago. So that's definitely something that is future-proof for anyone's career, pretty much.
AI.
But still talking about RPA and AI, I mean, AI does a lot of things. And I did mention that the licenses for the RPAs are expensive and stuff. And maybe if they weren't, it would be something even bigger than it is nowadays. As you said, it's a huge market share. But I still don't see a technology, like an AI technology, that does what RPA does as good as the RPA platform does. Okay. And when I say that, I'm specifically talking about automating via the UI, because I think that overcoming it's not only about technology. It's not only about having technology possible to overcome having to automate user interfaces.
Okay.
There's more behind it. You know?
There's human touch behind it. Whatever AI does, like, will never be like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say will never be, but so far I haven't seen a AI that totally replaces human touch, right?
Yeah, it's such a. I love that you've had this, right? And it's good job. I'm going to put one win for the RPA is not dead, you know, category, because I agree. There's something about what it does, right? And as glamorous as AI is and what it can do, it's not there yet, right? And I have interest. I could talk about AI all day, right? I have this interesting theory, V. I want you to. I would love to hear it. Well, this will be a way too deep of a rabbit hole technically to get under. But I have this assumption. Everybody's talking about AGI, right, and getting into general intelligence. My first thought is go ahead, Joe. What do you got?
What is AGI, first of all?
Artificial general intelligence, and that's a very good point too, because while the actual acronym might be easily understood, I think the actual definition of what general intelligence is quite debatable. And the reason I'll kickstart my story there is because I think from that perspective we already have that. Like, AI systems are already more intelligent than the average human, right? And we can cobble them together. I can get smarter AIs, put them together, and assemble something that's smarter than a human. But I think that what a lot of people talk about, AGI is, awareness. The AI being able to be aware of how intelligent it is, or what it knows and doesn't know, to be able to teach itself, right? And have a sense of awareness. So that rabbit hole, I think, where everybody's like, oh, we're close. Sam Altman's like, hey, we're getting close to AGI and all of this stuff. I have this weird, crazy theory that we're not even close. We're not even close. And I'm basing that off a recent research paper and article that I read about what consciousness is and what awareness is. And long story short, I'll wrap it up in a very tight bow. Consciousnness is quantum. So if you think about AI, and V could probably attest to this, the way we've built systems to mimic humans in AI, everybody sees the picture of the brain map and the tree and the decisions and how AI is able to kind of learn and stuff, right? And this was based off synapses in the human brain. We're building what we think these systems are to get to AGI. But if consciousness and awareness is quantum, we're not even building the right systems. So I don't think we'll ever get to AGI. I don't think it's even close to being able to do what RPA can do, because I think you need to be able to go in and interact with a user interface designed for humans. You have to have some sort of that human awareness. Like you and I know when our login doesn't work, right? We can code a bot to kind of know, but can we really teach it? And I think we're quite a way. I don't know if AGI will ever happen. So that's why I'm not worried about them building AI that can do what bots can do.
And I feel there are so many specific details for each program that we create, right?
Yeah.
Not only for RPA, whatever, because there are other like models that can create in other languages, right? If I type on ChatGPT, create a Python script for whatever, Fibonacci, right? They will create, it's going to be damn good, and probably I can just copy and paste it, it's going to run, right? But that's a very straightforward process, right? Or algorithm.
Yeah.
Now, if I ask it, ChatGPT, create a Python script that is going to, log into this page, grab the customer details, and then do whatever the RPA would do.
Mm-hmm.
It may create a skeleton, right, that I can base my automation on or my program on. But at the end of the day, I will have to, to do some manual work.
Yeah.
And I feel that's where we're going to, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have these models that are going to help us, right? But we still have to be there.
I like that.
To create the stuff.
I like that. And I don't know if you guys have been around long enough to remember the old RPA recorder models where they're like, oh, I'll make it easy. You click the button. And I was like, dude, this is such bullshit. Like, bro, that never works. That never works, bro. It never works. Hey, man, my fingers and my toes are crossed for autopilot, right? And I don't know if you guys have messed with it, but I've done it. I actually saw a gentleman, my grandmother would say, bless his heart, because he was on stage, 50 plus people watching him, and he was doing a workshop, and he used autopilot and typed it in there. And, it generated something. But he was, quick to be like, but we ain't using that. I just wanted to show you it. Let me pull up the one I made. But that's really what we would do too, right? If we were building it, we'd be like, yeah, this is really cool. Let me show you something really cool that happens. And then, let me show you the smoke's gone. Let me show you the one that really works, how we would really build it. So I agree. That's so funny. So you guys remember that. That stuff never worked.
Yeah, I think I agree with Joe. I mean, we'll definitely have those crazy, helpful assistant AI.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end, technology is built for the humans.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that there could be a way that machines interact with machines itself, and then they solve the issues, and then they accomplish what it needs to get accomplished. But there are implicit things.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we talk to business people, or whenever we talk to each other, even being technical, that we don't usually say it. It's just implicit in our culture and in social aspects. Like, can't really put it into words.
And that's the thing. I've doing this for a decade, getting requirements from people on business processes. There's just some stuff, like you're saying, it's truly intuitive. It's not written down anywhere. A bot would just never, they can't get inside of Joe's brain and understand that he knew this one step and forgot to tell people. Right. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And I don't think businesses.
They can't.
I know,
Hopefully
right?
They can't.
Oh, my God. Right. Let's don't even get us started.
With this, Tesla, the hyperlink. How
yes. Yeah, the one with the mind, the brain link.
Cyberlink.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cyberlink. So they're getting to the mind of the people now.
Neuralink, right? Neuralink.
Wow.
Neuralink. Yeah, Neuralink. I was gonna say it doesn't sound like Cyberlink. It's too close to the truck. No.
Yeah.
He had it mixed up. His wires are crossed right there.
It sounds more like Exterminator, the movie, right?
Yeah, it does. Now I see Igor too. He was even mentioning too, right? We don't even have a definition of intelligence, right? I mean, how do we even, codify that and explain? We don't even have one for ourselves, right? We can't even explain our own intelligence and what that means. And there's all sorts. Social intelligence, right? I even think athleticism in the Olympics going on. I believe that's a form of intelligence, right? To be able to get your body to, do stuff that I can't do. That's a form of intelligence. So yeah,
You have to be very smart and understand your body and how it works, in order to have such a performance, right? Because these guys are on such a level that even like very, very tiny details will make a change. And I just, reminded like a very short story.
Yeah.
There's this boxer, Vini knows it, Popó. He's a Brazilian. He's like top elite. He was like world champion like 10 times.
All right.
I don't know how many times. And he was, before a competition, he was trying to lose weight. And his coach was, let's do this, let's do sauna, let's do that, blah, blah, blah. So they were like on the weight, like waiting every 5 minutes and until he got it, right? He got it to the weight that he needed. And then he thought, let me take a shower now. Without talking to his coach, when he got out of the shower, his coach, what are you doing? You're messing up. You got, when you shower, you absorb water, so now you got weight.
Oh.
and that was like grams, and what he did, because it was like very short time before the competition. He was chewing gum like all the time.
Yeah.
And then
spitting in there.
Spitting and getting, he was like with the tissues, getting the water from his body.
Oh my God.
Waiting again.
That's crazy.
So many small details, like, man.
Yeah, no, athletes are on that level. I remember hearing a story about an MLB, like a baseball pitcher. And like, he wouldn't, like, even when he went to the beach, he would wear long sleeves no matter what the temperature, because he couldn't afford to get a sunburn and like miss a day, of training. Like they're just like that locked in, right? Some people at that level, right? And I think it takes. I've even, and on a side note, I've been thinking about doing sort of these video essays. There's been science about free will, right, and like what it takes to kind of be. I don't know if you guys have heard of like David Goggins, and like he's like a former SIL who is like does a bunch of ultra and like running, pretty crazy. Like, he's like nuts, I think.
His knee is like broken, and he's still like running like crazy.
I read this episode or watched this thing about. I think even you and I might have talked about it on one episode, but the mid-cingulate cortex in the brain, and they've discovered that it has attached to the power of will. But the reason it kind of connected it to, because they said, and the reason they found it is because in like athletes, professional athletes, it's really big. So people who like force themselves to do these tasks at a super micro level, just consistently till they become expert at it, and then they build those skills, like they're teaching their brain something, and there's actually connections between that. And like, if I want to lose weight, it's literally like a person becoming a pro in boxing is the same muscle that you would try to activate in yourself if you want to, change your behavior, or go on a diet, or become David Goggins, or run 100 miles. It's very difficult, but it's a brain, and it grows, so you can trigger it. But if you don't use it, it shrivels. So I find that a very interesting topic.
I see it.
In my view, OA is like having an intern.
Yeah, what do you got? Yeah, I was reading the comments also, but I just wanted to give a shout out. It seems that Vinny's family is here. Like I see his sister-in-law, Juliana.
Yeah, that's true.
Mateus,
Oh, nice. Thank you so much for yeah, I love it.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
to
there are
them.
some people over there. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping
You
by.
all.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I love this. Listen, let's talk about robots that are Terminator AI that is not going to be a Terminator. Hopefully, I don't want that problem.
I mean, I have my fingers crossed, so everything should be fine.
So, speaking of that, though, are you guys worried about this level of AI causing issues? I mean, we have CrowdStrike. It's not like we need AI to cause a global outage. Where you guys have any
AI? That was not AI. That was some.
Oh no, exactly.
The intern doing an update in production without testing.
Delete without a where clause.
Yeah,
Right?
He wasn't using automated testing. That's for sure. Yeah, that was not regression testing.
Well, but I see overall, I'm not worried about AI. I really like AI as a whole. Like it's a very, like someone was saying on the chat, like it is like an intern, right? It can help you out, but you have to watch out.
Yeah.
Right. What it's doing, and it can really help you, like to be better on what you do.
I even forgot to mention that too, right? I literally on LinkedIn there was an article, and it talked about how like 70% of companies had no ROI on their Gen AI projects. Put out by Gartner. It was a big like bombshell issue where basically like everybody that's experimenting with Gen AI right now, they're either A, not making any ROI on those investments, or B, they're having an incredibly difficult time at quantifying and qualifying whatever benefits are being generated. Because if it is an intern, it's just on your desk. Like I could monitor V's desktop and see how much time he's talking to ChatGPT. But at the end of the day, how am I going to calculate the benefit? And if that's all I'm using it for, you guys surprised that that's 70% of Gen AI projects failed to return a value?
That's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I was not aware. Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'll have to share the article with you guys. Then I'll after this and LinkedIn, I have it copied. I'll share it with you.
Regarding AI, something that I read this week, very, very interesting. JP Morgan, right? Is
of course, yeah.
I believe the biggest bank in the world. And they released this week that they are launching their own AI, their own like ChatGPT, right? So it's going to be something like ChatGPT. What they are going to do with that? What are the use cases? I can speculate in some of them because I am from the financial industry, but I cannot tell because I don't know. But
even if you did, I couldn't tell you.
Right? Yeah. But man, I found that so amazing, right? Like a bank, launching its own AI, like it's so mind blowing, and it comes back to what you were saying a couple of weeks ago, that there's going to be like specific industry specific models, right?
Yeah, I believe.
Tools. And I immediately I reminded of you when I read that.
Yeah, possibly those are the best case scenarios, right? So just answering the previous question that Jeremy made, I'm not scared at all of AI and AI exterminator in the near future.
Yeah,
not even in the long future.
Agreed.
I actually like to be a friend with AI. Because it's my assistant, my intern. It helps me on a daily basis. And I'm not ashamed of saying it.
Dude, I love that. I love that mentality. I truly believe in a world where, and you can call me batshit crazy if you want, I understand, but I believe in a world where as kids, like when they start growing up, that it'll be like almost like a chia pet, like the old school digital Tamagotchis, the little eggs where you have your own AI. And as you grow up, it just learns you, right? And it sort of, you have an assistant, it goes through you with high school, it's helping you with papers, you learn it, you say, hey, teach me how to play the piano, and it just learns you, right? And I think that could be, and then you talk about too, like I don't know, what are your guys' as we wrap up, we're getting close to the top of the hour. I want to get your guys' opinion on a similar parallel topic. I've seen this new trend using generative AI and, family archives and footage where people, after they lose a loved one, They're providing that footage, and they're having like last memories generated, by an AI company where you can go and you can ask them, hey, a couple of questions. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You think this is acceptable? You think it's fringe? Would you guys do something like this? Or, it's kind of in parallel. What do you guys think? To close us out, what are your opinions on this AI trend?
I may start on this one. So I think that of course that's personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that for photos and videos, let's say that you have like just a few photos of that relative that you lost and you miss it a lot, and then you want to make out a video of it or an animation or something. I think it's incredible. I would love to do it if I had the chance. But to have an LLM pretty much based off of that relative with information that you have, and you get to speak to that person-ish, that's weird.
Okay.
That's at least weird.
I think definitely, right? I think that, and that's why I'm interested in this topic, because I believe that people experience grief at totally different levels. And it could be something where today I'm like, dude, that's weird. And then something very unfortunate happens and I'm like, dude, sign me up. Something happened and I can't lose this person, right? I don't give a damn, how weird it was. So I think that there are probably levels to it, but I completely respect your thought and how it might be different too. And even for you, right? I think that there's people, who I believe you probably grew up in a very tech-driven age, right? Even from a young age, you're probably aware of technology. I'm an old fart. So, back in my day, we didn't even have cell phones in high school, until I was about to graduate. So, kind of always having tech in your face and, you see some of that model, it might be weird. And for me, it might seem like magic. But Joe, how about you? What is your perspective? Would you buy into this? Are you buying this idea? Are you selling this idea? Or you holding for now?
Well, I saw this on LinkedIn probably a couple of weeks ago, and my first thought was, man, this is not right, because it's just something that I don't know. It doesn't look right to me. But see, it's personal, right? It's personal, and I feel that it brings value to some folks. I probably wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because I know technology and I know, man, this is just technology,
Just an
playing with me, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the value of that? But I see that some people may see value on that. But that actually reminds me of, that movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the 80s movie.
Total Recall?
Total Recall, yeah. So they were selling. So they were selling the vacations, right? So they would implant the vacation on your brain. Right?
I totally forgot that is the theme.
Yeah. So, but I watched this movie like not too long ago, a couple of months ago, like because I really like that movie. And man, see, back then we would watch this movie and think, man, this is just bullshit, right?
Right.
But today you watch a movie like that and you think, man, there has to be someone thinking, I'm doing that.
Yeah. I see that kind of stuff and I'm like, Vinny's gonna build that next year.
Yeah, Tesla's doing that, right?
Exactly.
Into our brains. So from getting to our brains to implanting something like it's just like 1 inch away.
Yeah, no, that's insane. And I don't know if I probably have a completely biased opinion on that because of the recent passing of my poor pup, right? And I would love to see her, augmented reality, like Lance was mentioning, running around my room, my little chihuahua, right? But, I think that I'm sort of on the fence, right? Jury's still out. I don't know if that would be something that I would do. I think I'm kind of with V, where I think right now it seems weird for the reason that Joe mentioned, where I just kind of know what's happening, right? You're not tricking me. I'm saying, like, I'd rather just pop up on the side of the road, like an actual vision. I'd be much happier with that. But yeah, very interesting what people will do with AI, right? I think that the jury's still out.
Yeah, I'm not here to judge.
Hey, exactly.
Do whatever. If
man.
you feel good doing something, go ahead and do it.
Hey, and I also don't hate anybody for going after $1, right? But you got to make money. You're coming up with a business model, and there's a use case. And I do believe, I honestly do believe there are scenarios where that, when put together with the appropriate support, like maybe counseling or whatever, could be the help that somebody might need to get through, right? And instead of harming themselves or doing something crazy, right? So
yeah, and even right now I'm just extrapolating our thoughts, but even the vacation in planning our mind, right? Man, if I am planning a trip to Texas, right? I would love to know in advance all the places that I can go, right? So if someone could just implant a route that I could go and what I would see, well, that would be something. But as you said, there is always someone
with no spoilers, right? No spoilers.
No spoilers. That's a key. How do you
just want to know the route?
It depends. It depends, right? Yeah. There's always some taste for everything. Like people may want to see it before, but just extrapolating thoughts.
No, I love that. I think that's very interesting. Hey, I'm gonna say maybe I'm not gonna sign up for the family one, but I might sign up for that free vacation. And I'm an introvert. I don't even got to leave my couch. I can oh, dude, that Cancun's were sick. That was some good zip lines. So no, I feel it, man.
Yeah, but then with the vacation comes all other things, right? So I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels weird in so many senses. I don't know.
It have to be both. Be both.
I would be very, very careful and very.
Yeah. He's gonna be thinking about this later. I can already tell.
Yeah,
but so Total Recall and Inception, there's got to be a happy medium. There's got to be like I believe there'll be something crazy like that in the future. Something where you could do that. Total Recall will happen for sure. Yeah. But Joe, top of the hour, sir. And Vinny, I thank you so much. I can't wait. We got to get you back on the show, man. This has been a vibe. I've enjoyed kicking it. I think that this has been awesome. I've loved your banter. I appreciate your thoughts too, right? Sharing with us what your journey was. Sharing with us what you think about the future in the spaces, honestly, right? You were real with us. And I love your opinion on whether RPA is dead or not. I appreciate your thoughts. But Joe, wrap us up, sir. Do you got any closing remarks, anything you want to share?
Man, I want to share so many things that we don't have time for that. I just want to, give a shout out, to you, like the work you were doing with all this. I know the scenes and intros and outros. Like I know there's work on behind scenes. I'm also doing some stuff.
Yes, you are.
And I am so happy to see all the improvements we are doing little by little. We are small things, but we can see the outcome, not the outcome, but we can see the improvement already. So I'm very happy for that. And thank you, Vinny. Like it's been a pleasure, a blast to talk to you. Like, man, since the summit, we had some conversations there. Like, it was awesome to hear your thoughts. But now on our show here, it's like just an awesome time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I mean, to welcome here, and it's clear to see that you guys are doing progress. And the animations, everything. You guys started just the two of you, and then you added me to the frames. It looked so professional, and I'm so happy to be here and to be part of it. I mean, it's still the 7th episode.
Hey.
I know that there are things to be said, but hopefully there are going to be a lot more. So just thankful.
Dude, I'm so thankful to hear that feedback, and that's exactly why we do it. You already buttered us up enough, right? You're coming back again. We know we'll have you on the show when the time is right. But thank you so much, Vinny. And more importantly, to everybody who showed up, hung out, chatted with us over the last hour, thank you so much. We're just getting started. I love working these conversations with Joe. It's something that I'm truly passionate about, and we're gonna keep doing this, dude. I see a long future ahead. So again, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate the beers. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right.
Awesome.
Later, y'all.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Yeah. All right.